Brito was a middle-aged blind man, a retired Army veteran who had lost his sight rescuing civilians during a mission. His only constant companion was Tezza, his loyal German shepherd who acted as both his guide and his best friend. One cool evening in New York City, they took their usual walk through a quiet street bathed in the fading glow of sunset. As they passed a corner, Tezza suddenly tensed, growled, and barked furiously at three strangers coming toward them. Their faces were hidden in shadow, their steps deliberate and heavy. Brito tightened his grip on the leash, pulling Tezza back, and the strangers silently passed. That night, Brito lay in bed while Tezza dozed at his feet. The apartment was quiet, save for the hum of a distant streetlight. Then came a faint scraping sound outside the door. Tezza's head shot up. A deep, guttural bark tore through the silence. The door shuddered, then burst open. There was the sound of a brief scuffle, a muffled thud, and a whimper that made Brito's stomach twist. By the time he scrambled forward, hands searching in panic, Tezza was still lifeless. His trembling fingers brushed over her fur, the familiar warmth already fading. Brito's heart filled with grief, but beneath it, something sharper began to burn. The need to know why. Over the next days, Brito retraced his steps through the city, his senses straining for details. The uneven rhythm of certain footsteps, the smell of cheap cigarettes clinging to the air, the faint tap of metal on pavement. He stopped at the local cafe, where the owner remembered the strangers. One of them carried a metal cane and reeked of motor oil. That detail lodged in Brito's mind like a hook. Using his army discipline, he began to track the clue. One afternoon, he followed the sound of that same metallic tapping to a narrow street lined with old brick buildings. A small auto workshop leaked the smell of gasoline into the air. Brito pretended to be lost, asking for directions, but the moment the man's voice answered, Brito's pulse quickened. It was one of them. He memorized the street's layout, the echo of the alley, the distant hum of traffic, and left without showing his recognition. That night, he returned under the cover of darkness, planting a hidden sound recorder outside the workshop. The next day, when Brito listened to the playback, his stomach tightened. The men inside were talking about finishing the job before the old man talks. But there was something else. A new voice, deeper, one he hadn't heard before. It was someone from Brito's past. A sudden realization crashed over him. This wasn't random. The strangers weren't after Tezza at all. They had come for him. Someone he'd helped put behind bars years ago was out, and they wanted revenge. Tezza had died protecting him. Fueled by grief and fury, Brito decided to act before they could strike again. He waited outside the workshop at night, gripping a sturdy baton. When the sound of those heavy boots approached, Brito's training took over. He counted the steps, listened to the shifting weight, and moved in a blur, sidestepping, striking, disarming. The fight was fierce, metal clanging and boots scraping gravel. But Brito fought with precision, using sound like sight. He brought the man down hard, pinning him to the ground. The struggle ended with ragged breathing and the knowledge that Brito had caught one of Tezza's killers. Police sirens grew louder, and Brito realized Mason, his retired police friend, must have heard the whole thing through the recorder and called for backup. Officers swarmed in, dragging the man away. Brito stood there, alone in the same spot where Tezza once walked beside him. His hand found the empty leash hanging from his pocket, and he knelt, feeling its weight. Tezza was gone, but she had left him with one final gift, the trail to the truth. Brito turned toward the city, tapping his cane on the pavement. Each step was steady, purposeful, guided by something more than sight. Even in the darkness, he could still find his way, and he could still hunt those who thought they could hide.